Well, could the next Picasso be sitting at a New York City public school desk in Brooklyn right now? The people at I Am Art certainly think so. And they have devised a plan to awaken the artists in students from kindergarten right to the 8th grade, whether they paint, print, draw, or take photographs. The mission is to showcase the work of local and internationally acclaimed artists in a non-traditional gallery setting while bringing together the community.
Well, for 2 days, October 1st and 2nd, Sunset Park's Industry City will be transformed into the I Am Art's Kids Pavilion, where art, mural painting, live mural painting even, food and fun will be on display, as well as live music. It's the vision of restaurant entrepreneur Earl Silas. He's the founder of I Am Art NYC. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you.
We're also happy to have one of the featured artists, Mr. Brian Haggis, also known as BK the Artist. Thanks for being here, Brian.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yay! I Am Art. Your art, your art, you art. I Am Art.
Correct.
Please tell us how this project sort of came about and what makes it so unique.
I think initially, and I'll be real transparent, my daughter likes to sketch. She likes to doodle. And I'm an IT guy, and I really didn't quite appreciate it until she just kept doing it. It was a habit. And so one of the issues was that something that she was getting reinforcement in the academic environment she was in? I didn't quite feel it was, and so I just kind of started brainstorming, what can I do to create? And like I was telling BK, one thing kind of led to another. The other thing, I wanted to make sure that there was an appreciation for those folks who aspired with a gift, to see those who actually are utilizing their gift to provide a decent wage for themselves, to provide a lifestyle, a livelihood. And that's I Am Art. I Am Art is anything. Anything that you view as art is art. I mean, whether it's how you prepare your food, whether it's how you dress, whether it's what the music you listen to, what colors he uses, what colors another person uses. Art is in everything that we do. One of our hashtags is #ArtIsEverything, #ArtIsLife. And it's kind of taken a life of its own, to be honest.
Okay, BK, he just opened the door for you. Were you the kid doodling as well before you found yourself on the stage?
Absolutely. You know, we were in the back and he had said to me, how long have you been doing it? And the most honest question is all my life, ever since I can remember. You know, my mom has cool stories of me grabbing her makeup pencils when we were younger and doodling on the walls. And what's so interesting about this, I think that I'm the living representation of what a young child who's supported in the arts can become. You know, I came from Baltimore, and New York City is like the biggest ocean with the biggest sharks. And I think that if you believe in what you do and you love it, and you're surrounded by people who actually want to let that be nourished and flourish into something, I really am the example of what that can become.
Why is it important to you to, you know, sort of exhibit in non-traditional spaces? As you said, you've been an artist your entire life. So, you know, in some ways, that could have led you to only be seen in certain galleries here and in certain places there, or by certain people. You know,
Absolutely.
Why is it important for you as an artist to be accessible?
I think we're kind of living in the wild, wild west of art. Through social media and the internet. The traditional idea of a gallery was a brick and mortar place for those in the know to put art on the walls that was so-called good or worth seeing. And that's how you would experience art. But I think in the day that we're living in, everybody can represent themselves and get enough of a following or showcase their work in many different avenues. And I think that because we're living in that exciting time where the classes that are out there or the different obstructions in society, you know, you don't have to come from money, you don't have to come from the best education, you don't have to come from a mentor of the greatest artist. You have to believe in what you do, be, you know, determined beyond anything to make it happen. And so for me, that I've gained this access and to platforms and for people to see my work, I'd like to go to places that aren't established and they don't have to have whatever the traditional art world says, this is where you see art. I think it inspires people and shows what different possibilities are out there for youth that work.
Well, speaking of those possibilities, Earl, what can we expect October 1st and 2nd?
Oh, wow, it's a lot.
Industry
It's
City.
a lot.
We know this guy is going to be there.
Yeah, we have the quarterback over here. This is Aaron Rodgers. I just want him to throw me the ball. Ironically enough, initially it started on one path, whereas we were going to bring in, by the grace of the man upstairs, some of the most dynamic, what we call urban artists, probably, that we can get access to, and then showcase them in partnership with this thing called the Young Picasso Award. then it kind of took another life of its own because you don't want to bring a space where you have a bunch of kids and they can only be there for the awards.
Right.
And so hence the birth of the I Am Art Kids Pavilion. It's purely for kids. It's 12 to 4. They have kid programming. We're doing everything from a DJ academy so kids can learn the fundamentals of DJing to a old school. And he's from Brooklyn. He's from Brooklyn. His name is DJ Trauma. To something as simplistic as sitting down with a table, a couple of teachers from District 16, and finger painting. We have 60 yards of murals that kids can actually paint all along the corridor, and they can finger paint, they can sponge, they can do their own thing, but then also have an opportunity to be inspired in his world. Right. So where you can see folks that do it for a living. And then we've added a couple other sprinkles to it. We partnered up with Lamborghini Blanc of Long Island. So we have a couple of high-end art cars. Again, something that most people wouldn't view as art.
Right.
If I give him a car, he'll turn it into art. Well, let's showcase that. And then food. Food is art.
And then food.
Exactly.
So, I mean, the goal was to try to allow this to be something for the family, not just for us as adults or kids.
Right.
And then we'll have a sound stage. We have Eric Roberson performing Saturday evening, and we're doing a little DJ show.
Sexy in there too.
We're just trying to play with it a little bit.
Kids
and it's okay for you to take them home and come back. But I also wanted to make sure that, and he and I had it's a blessing. We had a great conversation. It was instant connection. I really wanted young people who have a gift that's not playing basketball, that's not running a football, running track, may not be a techie, may not be a math student, but still have a gift. And that gift might be art. And if that gift is art, there's some phenomenal talent out there that you can use as your role model. And I wanted to do it in the neighborhood that I live in, Bed-Stuy. I live in Bed-Stuy. My wife owns in Bed-Stuy. And so I wanted to bring that together, not realizing he lives in Bed-Stuy. So it just
Talk
worked.
about perfect match,
yeah,
right?
it just worked. It just worked. And so I expect people to have a great time.
So before hit it.
No, please. Now, I don't know. No, we do have some stills of some of your work.
Excellent.
Can we bring that up? Have you,
Yeah,
do we have
they've
the
been
stills of his work? What are your sort of inspirations when you're creating in your medium? Where do you draw your inspiration from your work?
You know, not to give you a simple answer to a complex question, but the truth is I'm inspired by life. I'm inspired by everything around me. You know, one of the things, if we're talking about what is art, even the way that we interact, our conversation, you know, how you treat other people. And I think that coming from a city like Baltimore, I come from a police household. And so to come to New York and becoming, you know, every day in my studio I play music and I play the news. And a lot of times I'm just watching the news, the bottom line, so I can understand what's going on in the world. And the music kind of puts me in a better mood than what the news may be giving me, right? So I'm inspired by using art as a vehicle of change. I think it's interesting in school, we study music history and art history. And if you're going to define people before there were cameras or videos, you went back and you studied their art, their paintings, and what it said about their society. And in 2016, you know, we're focused on the youth being geared towards things like athletics or entertainment, as that's what everybody dreams to be. Well, I think one of the best things to be is somebody that defined our time, defined our history, and that's better than a fourth quarter play. You know, and I think so when I make art, I try to paint things that can be a catalyst for a dialogue that can help to change people's perspective. A lot of times I'm painting along racial lines, I'm painting along financial lines, I'm painting about things that can help educate the viewer. I like to say if you come to my show, it'd be great if you left with a painting or a print, but I'd rather you leave with something that's not so tangible in your pocket. That could be inspiration. One of my big paintings that I painted about was Hottentot Venus, which is a forgotten part of history. And I went to very good schools, and I was shocked that I didn't learn about this. So when I found it in a Google search, I painted it. And one of the things that has the greatest effect is I'm very aware of how I look, and I'm very aware of the content that I paint. And sometimes when you talk about coming together as a team, you need somebody from the other side to come together in love and in hope that, you know, we're all human. You know, if you take our skin off and our outer shell, our heart, everything beats the same. So my inspiration really comes from, you know, I didn't ask to have this talent. I don't know where it came from. But I promise to use it responsibly and hopefully to uplift. And then when you have people that you can link up with that have that same drive and that same heart, it creates, a problem to be dealt with because we're not going to stop until we can actually do something about it.
Yep.
So before we get out of here, I just wanted to, on that same theme, you don't have to be Bill Gates or Oprah sitting on $1 million to change things. You guys are both starting where you are with the talent that you have and getting together and multiplying, right? So there you have a daughter who was into art and she wasn't getting fed enough at school and you saw something and you acted. So that's inspiring to me. So before people come out October 1st and 2nd, in
www.iamartnyc.com.
So just drop something on us to be even inspired before we get there to say, okay, this is where I am. This is the problem I see. How can I use myself to address that problem? Starting with what I have. I don't need to get $1 million before I can become a change agent.
For me, the biggest thing was starting something. I mean, this was a phenomenal connection that he and I had. We hadn't met one another. We emailed. Was the biggest thing is getting people to buy into your vision when you're the only person to see it. And you get 1 or 2 people that buy into it, and you can do it on your own. But in many instances, we just have to get through it the first event. I think what happens is that when people see it, they appreciate it, then they value it. It's our responsibility, to make sure people see it. And that really was the primary focus. This is a daunting task because there's a lot of moving parts. Because to the point, art is everything. So when you add 4 or 5 different components to a project like this, you have to make sure that if you're coming for the music, you're enjoying yourself. If you're coming for the food, you're enjoying yourself. Kids are having fun, make sure there's art supplies. All of those components, it's going to be a lot of sleepless nights. But my hope is that when this event is over with, similar to his point, you walk away thinking, wow, I saw something and did something that I would have never thought about doing.
And a volunteer for next year.
Yes, volunteer for next year, volunteer for next year. So no, I'm very fortunate to have, especially an anchor like BK to say, hey, this is what I do. You're doing the right thing. I just led with my heart.
I Am Art NYC?
Yes, IAMARTNYC.com.
All right,
Thank you
we'll
so
see you
much.
Thank you
October
guys for
1st
having
and
us.
2nd
Appreciate
in
it.
Industry
BK
City.
the artist.
Thank you.